Some stories, they almost defy belief. They're so full of contrast, they seem impossible. This is one of those stories. It's about staggering natural wealth and unimaginable poverty. It's about a paradise lost, not to some foreign invasion, but to a paradox buried deep underground. This is the story of Venezuela. So, here's the question that sits at the heart of it all. How does a country with more proven oil reserves than Saudi Arabia just collapse? How do millions of its people end up fleeing, facing shortages of things like food and medicine? Well, the answer, believe it or not, starts with the land itself. Long before the oil, there was this. A land of just breathtaking beauty and diversity. Venezuela isn't just one country, it's almost like a continent in miniature. A foundation of incredible natural wealth that would, shape its destiny for centuries. I mean, just look at the sheer diversity here. In one country, you've got the towering, snow-capped peaks of the Andes. You've got the vast, grassy plains of the Llanos. Then there are the ancient, mysterious Guyana highlands and the hot, tropical Maracaibo lowlands. It's like 4 completely different worlds all packed into one nation. And to give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, this is Angel Falls. It plunges over a kilometer from the top of this massive flat-top mountain. It's the tallest in the world. This is a land of superlatives, a place that seems blessed by nature. But that blessing, well, it was about to be overshadowed by a very different kind of discovery. And then came the moment that changed everything. The discovery of oil was like the entire country winning the world's biggest lottery ticket. It promised wealth, modernity, a golden age. But it also planted the seeds of a dangerous dependency. A blessing that would slowly become a curse. Picture it. It's the early 20th century. And suddenly, beneath the waters of Lake Maracaibo, this vast treasure of black gold is found. Almost overnight, the entire nation's focus just shifts. It goes from agriculture, things like coffee and cocoa, to petroleum. The whole economic DNA of the country was rewritten right then and there. And this timeline, it just shows you how dizzyingly fast it all happened. By 1935, that oil money makes Venezuela the richest country per person in all of Latin America. Cities are being built, a whole new middle class is created. Then, in 1976, the state takes direct control, nationalizing the industry. But then, the 1980s, they deliver a brutal shock. A global oil glut makes prices collapse, and for the first time, you see just how vulnerable this country has become. The dream just started to crumble. The prosperity that had defined a generation, it vanished. And the economic crisis spiraled into a political one. You had deadly riots, like the Caracazo in 1989, with people protesting in the streets. Trust in the entire political system just evaporated, creating this power vacuum that was about to be filled by a very powerful new force. And we have to remember, this was an incredibly diverse society facing this crisis. Venezuela is a true melting pot, a blend of indigenous, European, and African heritage. All these cultures shaped by waves of immigration during those boom years. This was the nation right on the brink of a political earthquake. And into that atmosphere of crisis and anger stepped a man named Hugo Chavez. He was this charismatic figure who came out of the turmoil of the 90s, and he was promising a radical break from the past, a revolution that would finally reclaim the nation's wealth for its people. He called his movement Bolivarianism, named after the independence hero Simón Bolívar. And the idea was powerful. It was about empowering the poor, using those oil revenues to fight inequality, and ending the corruption that so many people blamed for the country's problems. For millions of Venezuelans who felt left behind, it was an incredible message of hope. And for a time, especially with oil prices soaring in the 2000s, it really seemed to work. Poverty fell, inequality fell, social programs brought healthcare and education to communities that never had them. But this is where we see the fatal flaw. Instead of diversifying away from oil, the government doubled down. They used the national oil company, PDVSA, basically as a piggy bank, loading it up with debt. And crucially, at the absolute peak of the boom, nothing was saved for a rainy day. The whole system was actually becoming more fragile, not less. That rainy day, well, it didn't just arrive. It came with a vengeance. This next chapter is one of a slow and then terrifyingly fast collapse. A great unraveling that would push the nation and its people to the absolute brink. So in 2013, Chavez dies, and his hand-picked successor, Nicolás Maduro, takes over. He inherited an economy that was already showing these deep structural problems. And then the bottom fell out of the global oil market. The single engine that powered the entire Venezuelan economy just sputtered and died.
The result was economic oblivion. I mean, what does a 1,000,000% inflation rate even look like? It means your money becomes worthless paper. It means a lifetime of savings can't buy you a loaf of bread anymore. It's the complete and utter destruction of economic life for ordinary people.
And without that oil money, the country was starved of foreign currency, a 99% drop. That meant Venezuela couldn't afford to import the things it didn't make anymore, which, after decades of oil dependency, was pretty much everything. Food, medicine, machine parts, you name it. The country was effectively cut off. The human toll has been just staggering, nearly 8 million people. That's more than a quarter of the entire population. It's one of the largest refugee crises in modern history, and it wasn't driven by a war with bombs and bullets, but by a complete societal collapse. And for the people who stayed behind, the reality is just grim. This isn't just about economics anymore. It's about survival. Widespread poverty, collapsing hospitals and schools, and, well, the erosion of democracy into what many now call an authoritarian state. The promise of the revolution has curdled into a nightmare. So we come full circle, from the stunning heights of Angel Falls to the depths of a humanitarian crisis. It is the ultimate cautionary tale of the resource curse. The very oil that promised to build a nation ended up creating a dependency so total that when it failed, it took everything else down with it. And that leaves us with this final, haunting question. It's the challenge that defines Venezuela today. Can a country so completely shaped and then so completely broken by its greatest blessing find a new path forward, a future that isn't written in oil, but by the resilience of its own people? The answer to that remains one of the great, tragic uncertainties of our time.